Hey, what's up, everybody? We are the Story Crafters. My name is Jeff. We have Nicole and Jared, except everything's backwards when I do that, and I always forget that every single time. How the heck are you, everybody?
So good, man. So good.
Good. Excited to be here.
Yes, we were just talking about coffee and how I'm the only one that has it on the show tonight, and clearly it just kicked in, which is great. Comment below on our YouTube or Instagram what your favorite coffee is. Sweet. Anyways,
some of us are drinking water like an idiot, so
yeah, don't do that.
I'm not happy about it.
Mine's in a fun mug.
That's bonus points.
Right?
I feel like do more for your body if you.
Yeah, but I do wish it was coffee. I really do.
Yeah. You know what we all wish for, though? To roll high on this initiative roll. So let's roll initiative. Here we go, everybody.
Here we go.
Good transition.
I got a 13.
Oh, God.
What'd you do, Nicole?
I got a 2. I'm back to my old ways.
That's twice as good as last episode, though.
I mean, twice as good. That's
good.
True. Well, I guess I should take the win.
And we're in exact same order because I got a 7.
Here we go.
Same thing
Jeff,
as
would you roll 13?
I rolled a 13. You know what it is? It's because I'm rolling my lucky gold dice. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe.
All right. Jeff, I think next episode, I'm going to need a coffee and that lucky dice, please.
No kidding.
I got it.
Or make Jeff roll a disadvantage or something.
Yes.
Let's see what happens at disadvantage.
Just kind of pour it into an envelope.
At disadvantage, I got a 9.
That still puts you first. So I guess by rights, the floor is yours.
The floor is mine. The floor
what
is
have
lava.
You been up to, Jeff?
The floor is lava.
I had a first for me in my D&D career, and Nicole, you will be proud and happy. I ran a kids game.
Hey!
I'm so proud and happy.
I did. I ran a kids game last Saturday for a coworker of mine. His sons they have a co-op class. And the teacher doesn't know how to play, so she just kind of like relied on the students. And the students, I guess none of them knew how to play either. And one of them said like, "Oh, my dad's friend plays, so I guess we're going to learn from him." So I ran a game with, what was he? I think one of them is 8 and the other is 12. So not like kid.
No, those are good ages. Those are really good ages.
Pretty young.
Yeah.
And their dad played with us too, who I work with. So he hears me talk about all this stuff all the time. But it was so much fun. I ran a modified version, if you're familiar with the DMsguild.com. There's a whole thing, right? Years ago when I was first doing stuff, I printed off a copy of the one shot called A Most Potent Brew. Which is exactly. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I love that one." So I ran that one. I've run that one so much that I have adopted it to basically fit, and I can basically fit in my world now. So I kind of run that and I modify it just a little bit to kind of fit my NPCs. To make the storytelling a little bit easier and make it a little bit more sense for me in the long run. But they loved it and they had so much fun. The little 8-year-old played a sorcerer who just basically cast Sorceress Burst a million times, but he was a dragonborn. So he went up in like this I changed the beginning of it for those that don't know, I'm not going to tell you what the original monster is in the beginning of it, but I changed them to kobolds, right?
Right on.
And
I love kobolds.
And he's like, I go over to one of them, I pick it up by the scruff of his neck, and I'm like, ah!
Yes.
So like we were, oh my God, we had so much fun. yeah, so that was a learning experience on kind of like trying to figure out what the good pacing is for kids.
What is something that genuinely, that's something that's not talked about enough, is proper pacing when you're DMing or just playing games with kids. I mean, Nicole, I'm sure you could talk about that more than any of us, but that is like the biggest challenge I've had, even with my own children, of just like the pacing it's either way too fast or way too slow. The happy medium is so hard to find.
Yeah, and there's really no like there's no template for it that I've found, at least, that works. It's like you just really have to read the room and like what their interest and energy level is in that moment, and like be really flexible.
And Lord knows it changes every second.
Yeah, changes all the time. So it's like, okay, this battle's going. Oh no, now they're invested in it. We got to stretch it out some more. It's like.
So it was great, and then I gave them a little thing at the end because they're like, oh man, I want to play again. And I was like, do you guys really want to play again? And they're like, all three of them were like, yeah. I was like, all right, so I gave them a little like, here's a little breadcrumb, to lead into something if they did want to. So I said, you find this note, right, and at the bottom of it, it says, if found, please return to Cargrim Strongheart. So it's like, okay, cool, like. So then that's a little breadcrumb for them to kind of like go and find Cargrim. So that'll be interesting to see if that goes anywhere. And
that's what I was going to ask. Do you have any more sessions scheduled with that group, or was it kind of a one-off?
It was just a one shot, but they ended up really liking it. I don't know if I can feasibly do 3 groups. Because I have a work group. I have a work group that's actually starting in 2 weeks. Yeah, me and three other friends from work. They 2 of them had never played before, and one of them has. So they're like, "All right, cool. Like, let's do this."
Well, hopefully the kids group they'll like just kind of start running it on their own. I mean, I feel like once you give them the taste for it, like they can just make it up. Like if they don't really play by all the rules, like who cares?
Yeah, and I'm going to be running the Adventures of Etheria, like the book, for a one shot, or not a one shot, but like a game for Eli, my buddy's daughter, and my other buddy's daughter too. Since Eli has a little bit of a thing, he has a connection to the book, so I'm gonna build out each little scene and stuff like that. So that'll be fun. But I had to do a preliminary test run before I start doing something that I have a bit more weight invested in.
Interesting. But okay.
Yeah. And then if you saw my Instagram, I painted a bunch more Star Wars Legion stuff. That ATST was kind of like my pride and joy over the past 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, but
really good. It was really good. I genuinely, jumping back a tiny bit, I genuinely think DMing for kids is like the best test of your skills as a DM that you could possibly have. Because like I've DM'd for some challenging adults before, but DMing for kids sometimes is such a it's just so draining energy wise, because you are on like every second. Like Nicole said, if you're not reading that room every moment, then like it's gonna come crashing down in a hurry. Whereas with adults, typically you have a little more of a taper down before it's like, all right, I think we're done here, but so good on you. That's awesome.
That was a silent drive home.
Right. Yeah. It is. It is definitely like a whole situation with that, but it's so fun. Yeah. It's so fun. And to see them so excited, rewarding. That's awesome. Like that makes it all worth.
It was great. And like they got to the final boss. They did the final boss and everything, and they had like I gave them the how do you want to do this, right? And it was ironically by the kid who is like afraid of spiders, right? And there's a decent amount of, because it's in a cavern or a tavern basement, so there's cobwebs and spiders and stuff. But so he's like, he got the kill, which was really fun. And they downed him, and everyone's like, yeah, Like it was really cool. And the oh man, I love this. The kid, I'm not gonna tell you his name and stuff, but for the internet, but he had on a Hellfire Live shirt. And they he made they just finished Stranger Things a couple weeks ago. And then he made the dice tower, where you stack all the dice and stuff. And he did it in the most insane way I've ever seen. I'm like, that should not have worked, but it did. And man. So that's me. I'm gonna stop blabbing now. Jared, what you been doing, man?
That's so much fun though. It is so worthwhile because that is like the times that I've run games for my kids is like I've never want to run D&D more than directly when I've finished, maybe after the silent drive home, because that is the most valid thing I've ever heard of. Like I just gotta be silent for 5 minutes.
It's like an antidote to burnout.
For sure.
That's fulfilling. So true. It's so like I don't know. There's something magical.
For those that are like,
there's no exchange for the genuine excitement of kids discovering things,
Yeah.
Anyway, for me, I did run a session of D&D this past Friday. We were back in the world of the Abyssal Tide, but I have a few players out. So what we did was actually, I said the camera kind of panned back over, and we jumped back to the lizard folk village that we had left off like 8 sessions ago, I think, which was really fun. So it was my brother's character. That the goal is always that his character joins the main group in time. So we're telling the story of what's going on during that time with Kefar, and 2 other players also made lizard folk. And I'm kind of doing like a short little arc for them. And you guys have done this, especially like Jeff, you and Charlie do this often, but it's the first for me of getting to run kind of a separate story in my same world. And it was so much fun. It was so rewarding. It is the best. And like, I know that on paper, but now having gotten to experience, it's like, this is so much fun because you really get to peel back that extra layer of your world. So 10 out of 10 would recommend doing that. It was a blast. And it was a really interesting dynamic that I've never had of one character really caring about the longevity of their character and ensuring that the choices they make are wise. Whereas my other 2 players were a little more in one-shot mode, where it's like they still made reasonably serious characters, albeit the one lizard folk had no arms and they just had swords on their feet. But
sounds very really serious, yeah.
So often on my tables, it's like main story adventure. Everybody really cares about their characters, wants to make sure that they're being careful. Whereas one shots, everyone's like, I'm just going to make the craziest thing I can think of. And this was kind of it coalesced both, which was really interesting. It was really fun to DM. So we'll have 1 or 2 more sessions in that arc before I think it'll time out that my other players will be able to rejoin. One and his wife just had a baby, so congratulations.
Oh, congratulations.
But, take some time off. Outside of that, I literally came directly before this from a Dungeons and Dragons, a Goshen and Dragons planning committee meeting. Super excited for that event on March 21st. I've talked about it plenty, so I won't rehash all of it, but we are, as we record this on February 24th, we are half of our tickets have been sold, which is a big deal. And we have VIP tickets, and we actually only have like 5 more of those available right now, which is huge because it's still like a month out, a little less. So that's a big deal for us. So that's exciting.
So exciting.
Plenty more to come for that, but keep an eye out for Goshen and Dragons. It's our 5th year. We're really excited about it. So outside of that, I have a couple projects. I don't know if I talked about this or not. I'm making a game board for a friend who's actually running a one-shot at Goshen and Dragons, and then we'll continue to in other capacities. But he's doing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one-shot, and I'm actually making like a New York cityscape, rooftops of buildings. Like it's a very cartoonified or comic book-ified version of it. I will absolutely share pictures when it's picture worthy. But I'm excited because it's drastically different from anything that I've made before. A lot more geometric shapes. I rely really heavily on organic shapes when I craft, I've realized. So this one has actually been a lot more challenging than I thought, just because when it's a basic shape, I feel like you really have to nail the structure. So that's been really fun. I'm excited to continue that. But outside of that, that's pretty much been me. My mini paint count for the year is still at 0. So,
man,
which is fine. Terrain, which counts. I feel like that's the same.
It absolutely. Okay, let me just confirm for this. So I have a competition, not a competition, but me and 2 other my friends we have just a text channel that's just our painting, right? So we keep track of how many we've done. Terrain absolutely counts because I like post pictures of my terrain, and my buddy Josh is like, "Well, Jeff just went to 900," like. Right? Because it's just like these like big things. It absolutely counts, brother. It absolutely counts.
Well, that's great news. I think that my completed terrain pieces for the year might also be at 0 as it sits right now. So I've made progress on several.
Dang it,
to
I
be
was
clear,
trying to give you some credit here, bro.
That's all right.
I will very graciously not accept it because in time, it's the season. It'll happen. I'm not worried about it. I'm just it's just where I'm at. But that is enough about me. Nicole, where are you at with life?
Where am I at with life? I don't really know. I feel like I've been so scattered lately.
It's going around.
Yeah, I'm like, what even have I been doing? When did we meet last? What is my life? I'm not sure. We have had, totally unrelated to Dungeons and Dragons or anything, we've had a strangely warm February in Texas, at least where I'm at. January was super cold. We got the snowpocalypse for a few days kind of situation, but February has been strangely warm. So I've been taking advantage of that and going outside a lot. So that has kind of been my, I don't know. I'm just trying to beat the winter blues. I need to get some more sunshine and vitamin D and fresh air in my life. So that is helping.
Lovely.
That is helping me beat my seasonal depression. I know. I'm sorry, Jared. I feel like last time.
No, listen. I choose to live here at a certain point. Like it's nobody else's fault that I'm here, so it's all good.
It's like all winter, I feel like we all complain about the weather, and I really shouldn't complain because it's never that bad where I live, but if it still feels bad.
It's you don't have to compare. It's you have to still live in it. So it's doesn't matter. It's still worthy of commenting on.
Yeah, I feel like it's been lovely though. I mean, I should probably knock on wood because I might have just jinxed it, but I don't know. Maybe spring's coming early here.
Just like my enthusiastic drum roll, I'm sure you heard the knocking on wood that I just did. I'm sure the mic picked that up. So.
Oh gosh. What have I been doing D&D wise? I have not played or run a game since we met last time. I need to bring family game night back. I've been thinking about that. We used to do every Thursday night or something like that. We used to do we'd either play D&D or at least play a board game or something like that. So I need to get that back on the agenda, I think.
Really easy to fall out of the habit of that, isn't it?
Yes. That's
I don't know. I'm sure there's plenty that can be said about that. That always seems to be the first thing that goes in my house too when we get busy is the fun activities that bring everybody joy,
I know. Why is that? Why?
That was maybe worded a little more harshly than it needed to be, but no joy here, folks.
We're not allowed any joy here.
Follow us on our next podcast where Nicole goes into the deep dive from a therapist point of view on why everyone ruins the fun things first.
You know what, though? That is very real. That is a very real thing that too many of us do. We need to preserve the joy and the whimsy.
What? If people had more whimsy, the world would be a better place. The answer can be a lot of things, but I think it's whimsy at the end of the day. If people were more whimsical, I think life would be better.
I 100% agree with that.
Life is very real and very whimsical sometimes, but not as real or whimsical as today's lore topic. And
don't you know,
Jared, what you got for us for our lore tonight, brother?
Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy? That's my favorite clip, of all time. by the way. If you don't know what I'm referencing, then that's on you. You have the internet. You can look it up, listeners, or Nicole and Jeff, I guess.
I just threw that on the spot there. I thought it was a good transition.
It was great. It.
You're killing it with transitions today, I think.
Thank you. Transition is Jeff's middle name, actually.
It is. With a Y.
He's right, obviously. The D is silent.
Yeah.
All right. With that, at least Jeff can transition us into anything. I just take the toy train and push it off the track as it's going across the bridge. I'm like, look, there's a deep valley. Explosion. All right.
What?
Speaking of explosions, I don't think we're going to be talking about any of those. So there's the transition. Tonight, we, for our lore section, as we dive in, we are going to be talking about mimics. So buckle up. The mimic, introduced in the earliest editions and faithfully carried through till today, mimics are classified as monstrosities. They are not cursed objects or summoned spirits. They are living creatures with a biological gift for transformation. Just like Jeff, middle name coming right back in. A mimic can alter its shape to resemble inanimate objects, most famously treasure chests, but canonically they can imitate doors, tables, statues, and even sections of wall. Anything solid and roughly similar in size is fair game. Their skin secretes a powerful adhesive, allowing them to bond instantly to anything that touches them. What looks like polished oak or cold iron is actually flesh held in perfect stillness, which describing that way genuinely is horrifying. And until I started reading about them more to prepare for this, I don't think I thought of mimics that way. I think I've always kind of pictured them as being goo inside a box.
Yeah.
But turns out, not the case. When prey gets close, the mimic strikes with pseudopods and a cavern of teeth hidden within its false surface. What elevates the mimic beyond a simple trap is its intelligence, however. Across editions, mimics possess enough awareness to understand language, and some can even speak. Horrifying. They are capable of bargaining. In Forgotten Realms lore, mimics have been known to serve as guardians in exchange for food. In Eberron, urban mimics can live within cities, blending into architecture. Spelljammer material presents variants that adapt to the strange geometry of spacefaring vessels. There are also larger and rarer forms. Horde mimics that disguise themselves as entire piles of treasure, colonies of mimics that cluster together to form convincing dungeon features. The implication is unsettling. The chest may be a predator, but so might be the room. Ecologically, mimics are patient ambush hunters. They can survive long stretches without feeding, which makes them perfectly suited to ruins and dungeons where curiosity draws prey directly to them. Adventurers seek treasure, mimics become treasure. It's a flawless loop. And that is why they endure as a design cornerstone of D&D. The mimic teaches players that the environment is not passive, that reward and risk share the same silhouette at times. And so, the question is, are mimics evil or simply predators following instinct? If one can speak and reason, how does that change how it can be treated in a world? And if a mimic can imitate a chest, what is the largest thing it could conceivably become before anyone notices? So next time you reach for the latch, pause. The dungeon might reach back.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I love a mimic.
I do too. So what I want to ask both of you is, what is your most memorable interaction, either as a DM or as a player, with a mimic?
Man,
I had a recent mimic situation. I was running one of the adventure modules from Adventures in Etheria that I'm playtesting right now. I was running it at IckyCon for a dad and daughter And then there were a couple other people at the table that weren't playing, but were like spectating the whole situation. And the people at the table definitely like could see the writing on the wall that like this chest that they were about to go mess with was definitely a mimic. And so all the people at the table observing were kind of like starting to snicker, get excited. Some of them actually like got their phones out and like recorded the like, brand new players are about to have their first experience with a mimic and realize that things are not always safe. It was so hilarious. Fun. And the new players' reactions were excellent. Strange choice though. They decided to not fight it. In my world, at least, mimics have a very slow speed. So they just kind of kept going throughout the dungeon and like outrunning it. And it just kept very slowly every turn following them bit by bit further into the dungeon.
It's incredible.
They never fought it. It just followed them around.
I just picture like Slinky from Toy Story, but it's like the mimic's tongue, like...
Yeah, it was very much like incredible. That, and we milked it. We really had fun with it, but it was a great encounter. Might have been the best part of that whole game adventure that I ran.
It's so fun. That is interesting, though. I've never thought about like obviously the element of mimics is this surprise, but I've never thought about like you could describe that sound that Jeff was just making. In a room next to him or the hallway in like complete darkness and be like something is inching its way towards you, and like you could literally have a mimic enter a room to attack things. Like it wouldn't, maybe it got fed up or something. That's interesting. What about for you though, Jeff?
I think like of course, like you have the classic mimic, the treasure chest mimic that we've all run, but I actually did run a I have the outhouse mimic mini.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I did run that, but
horrifying.
And that was really interesting because you have to give a little bit of flavor to that one, if you will. But I don't exactly have a favorite mimic moment outside of them realizing that the outhouse is a mimic. But I have a favorite mimic mini, which is from the Dark Souls board game. So this is...
That's incredible.
It's a mimic.
Okay, that thing does not look like it would move slow. That thing looks like it could sprint. Oh no,
this is the Attack on Titan of mimics. But yeah, that's a really fun one to throw at someone when you're like, oh, there's a mimic. And it sprouts legs and charges at you. You're like, oh my god.
For those not watching this on YouTube, that was a very leggy mimic with like had legs for days, man. That thing could very move. Leggy.
Yeah. Some muscular.
It should be in the Rockettes. You know what I mean? Put some heels on that thing. Have it kick in the Thanksgiving Day parade.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, mimics are dope. Like, they're just a classic staple of fantasy dungeons at this point now. Like I feel like everyone's got them. Yeah,
which is fascinating. Because my understanding is they were a D&D creation.
Yeah,
and it is curious. I'd be curious to know if there's any other creatures or monsters like that have started in D&D that have kind of slowly seeped into all other media. Because you're right, they are kind of everywhere now. Yeah. I'm sure there's maybe gelatinous cubes. I don't know.
Luckily mimics are one of the things that are in the like open license that WotC will let anyone use, which is really nice because it's such a fun thing.
They are.
Yeah, well, and maybe that's part of why they're more widely used.
Right. I feel like beholders, are in kind of a similar sort of like iconicness, but that's one of those ones that like WotC will not share. Like they will come after you if you try to claim a beholder as part of your lore and your story. Yeah. So
aren't they that way with owlbears too? or they put owlbears in
owlbears are fair game. I think they might have changed it, but the most recent SRD or whatever it is that they released says that you can use owlbears.
Yeah,
that's great. My favorite use case of a mimic so far is I'd set a one shot that I was running for 2 of my players, and the whole premise was that they walked into the dungeon and on the pedestal was sitting the deck of many things. Like that was the whole point, is just like this one shot is going to be the deck of many things. We'll just follow whatever chaos ensues. But I had it sitting on top of a pedestal. They walked up. It was a mimic. They defeated that mimic. The pedestal opened and another, a thing raised up. There was a deck of cards. Without hesitation, there's like, oh, well, we'll grab it then. That was also a mimic. And then finally a secret back panel opened on the back, and that was actually the deck. And it was one of the most, because it was like, I don't know, had like 3 hit points or something, but it was just the simple, like, they didn't check either time. Like veteran players, neither of them bothered to check or anything. And there's like, oh, great, I'll go for it. So that's my advice, is just like torment your players sometimes with, like low level. You don't have to try to kill them necessarily. Do what you want. But it's really fun to just have tiny items be just like recurring mimics. They're really fun though. And as kind of said, they can be as big as you really want them to be. So, but an outhouse, I think, is the epitome of like, please don't do that.
Yeah. Please don't.
Yeah.
Please don't.
I genuinely can't think of many things that would be more horrifying than discovering the outhouse is a sentient being that's hungry. So, but that's mimics. So there you go.
I was not going to say anything about this yet, but I feel like I have to now. So y'all are just going to get very first. I don't think anyone else. Okay, one other person knows about this, but I'm writing a book. It's nothing like super fancy, but it's like ABCs of Etheria. So it's going to be just like an alphabet book with some really great illustrations. M is for mimic.
Incredible. That's the right call.
That's awesome.
I don't know what else it would be, but that's the right.
I know. I was like, I have to.
For sure. Oh, yeah. That's so exciting, though. That'll be so much fun.
I don't have any of the illustrations done, but most of the letters are written.
Oh, that's so fun. Those are like my favorite. When my kids are too old now, unfortunately, thank God, I think, at least know the alphabet at the ages of 9 and 11. But those are always my favorite books. We had one that was like Ocean Creatures or something, and I think there was one that was I don't know. Anyway, those are always fun. So a D&D one existing is an excellent idea. So good on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No ETA for it existing, but it will exist. It exists at least in my computer at this point.
Good things.
Sometimes that's enough for the time being,
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah. Well, shall we jump into our main topic of discussion?
I think we should. And tonight, today, this morning, this afternoon, wherever time you're listening to this, watching this, whatever, we are going to talk about today the importance of the Session Zero, which, in my opinion, is one of the most important sessions that you could ever do for your D&D campaign. For one-shots, I don't really do them at all. Unless if there's like some stakes involved in the one shot or something like that. But personally, I love a good Session Zero where everyone just kind of gets together. We have some snacks, we're all talking about, hey, here's the overarch of the campaign, like what we're looking at, getting everybody rolling characters. And I think I touched on it briefly last episode where I just so ruthlessly went in on meta players. Listening back to that too, I don't apologize for anything, but dang, that was kind of harsh.
You went hard.
Double down, man.
You had feelings. Down. Yeah.
I have feelings. So the Session Zero, it's so good because that's where like the basis and the good concrete foundation of your storytelling begins. Like, do you guys even know each other? Yes? No? Do some of you? Are you guys from the area that we're in? Like, are you out of town? Are you passing? You know? So it's those types of things. I love that. And then you can get all the questions out with your characters. And like, yeah, I just really like him a lot. I want to throw a question to you guys. Do you guys do anything or would like to do like in a future Session Zero or anything like that that is kind of like out of the norm for a regular, like do you do anything special at your table for Session Zeros or anything?
I've only had the benefit of running one real Session Zero because the Abyssal Tide, though it's been going for like 2.5 years now, it is my only long-term campaign that I've ever had the privilege to run. But I did a Session Zero at the beginning of it. And a lot of it for that instance was like, none of us have really ever done this in this capacity before, so let's just go over some ground rules. It is... I cannot stress this enough. I will never run another D&D campaign without doing a Session Zero, though. I genuinely, like, that is my best advice that I can give to anybody thinking of starting a long-term story or even like a, multi-session arc of something. Do a Session Zero. It doesn't have to be a whole separate thing. For my Session Zero, we actually took like an hour and a half, and then we actually jumped into the story and we did the opening battle and opening scene and everything.
Nice.
It's interesting. I love a Session Zero because it's like you can get out all the documents and spreadsheets and take down all the notes. And for me, it's the best time to figure out, okay, what do my players want from this? Because sometimes it's like pulling teeth to try to get that beforehand. Sometimes maybe it's nerves or genuinely not knowing, but there's no better time to be like, okay, we kind of have a story. Most of us have characters going. But what do we want from this? Like, what is your expectation? What do you want your character to achieve in this story? It's the perfect time for that. And like, if you're going to introduce any homebrew rules, that's a great time too, especially if you have veteran players that are familiar. Setting the precedent right out the gate. Big precedent for me was like, hey, we're going to be trying some rules. And as long as we agree as a group, like, we'll continue them, but like, let's never be opposed to addressing them again and being like, hey, this just isn't working. As long as we agree as a group, let's set it aside, but like, let's try it, And so that's my philosophy going into whenever the time comes that I get to do another one. Will be like, I'm going to throw the spaghetti at the wall and we're going to see what sticks. And I'm probably going to come in with more than what reality will be to figure out what we like and kind of pare down on that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Nicole, do you do anything crazy or fun with, or
not
would
really?
You like to?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I'm trying to think like what would even be helpful, and I feel like it so depends for me on the situation, because a lot of the games I run are like with new players, or they're almost more like a one shot. Like, these people are probably not going to be like coming back over and over again, except for my kids and their close friends. Like, yeah, they'll be at my table more than once. But I don't know. I mostly keep it really simple. Like, I tend to provide, I think, a lot of the stuff that players could bring to a Session Zero and come up with themselves, which would make it like a more rich, unique story. But I think I'm just like more like, okay, we need to get this like rolling. So I usually bring in pre-made or almost completely pre-made characters for them. So we don't even have like a character creation session most of the time. It's just like, here's your 8 options. Which one do you want to be? This one's kind of like that. Yeah. This one's good at that. This one's really bad at that. Like, and then, talk through like, most of my players are either brand new to tabletop role-playing games completely, because they're children, or they are new to playing the way that I play, which is different than traditional Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah. I feel like most of my like introductory stuff that I guess I would put in a Session Zero if I was having like a separate space for it is like, okay, here's your character sheet and here's what that means. And here's the things that you need to pay attention to. And here's just like, I usually tell people there's like four 4 things that we're going to do. It boils down to 4 things. We're going to explore, we're going to role play, we're going to get into combat if we want to, and we're going to solve some puzzles. And then if they have questions about what those things look like, we talk about that. And it's like, okay, let's go.
I think so much of it too, and it kind of ties into dealing with metagamers a little bit, is like everybody's table is going to be slightly different. And there is no better time to establish rules and vibes for your table than at its inception. You know, even if that's a clean break between, I know we did this for this adventure, this is a new one, here's what I've learned, and I'm going to do differently, or I would like to do differently. To me, it's the perfect time to dump some extra tidbits of lore, especially if it's a homebrew world. I shouldn't even say especially, it could be anything, but it's a great time to dump lore and really help your players understand the setting, because that is what I've struggled with as a player when I've had the time, or when I've had the opportunities to do so. It's like, I understand the way that I want to play a character, but it's hard to know how they slot into the world sometimes. And so the more you can give your players up front of just like vibe, if that makes sense, I think the better off you're going to be. I tend to make my worlds I write them a little more dark and brutal, knowing that at the table we will bring a lot of the levity and humor. Like, I don't tend to bake a lot of that stuff in, because I know it comes naturally. So I also try to preface some of that, at my table too, of like, this is going to feel harder and more oppressive than it's going to wind up being in the end,
Yeah, that that actually brings up a good point about like when you're at your session 0, you can almost do like a geography lesson or a history lesson at that point, like with your players, to help kind of just like motivate them to want to immerse themselves a little bit more like emotionally into their character if they know the location that they're at and like what they're doing. Something that I started doing, which ironically I actually have in front of me because I'm sitting on my D&D table right now. Like, my laptop is on my TV right now. But what I started doing was making maps for people. So like, I don't know how well this is going to pick up in the camera, but like, so like I have a map of the world. Right. And then, so I have that on the table for them, but then I also have a map of the zoomed in version of the immediate area that they're in. So they can kind of get just like a visual representation of like, okay, wait, we're here. We need to go over here. How do we get there? And you can kind of establish that at session 0, like, and that's really fun to me, because then they think like, oh, maybe they have a familiar spot that they can really relate to. So maybe we'll go there, at some point in the adventure. And I really like that a lot.
I've done that too with like my kids, especially, is like give them exactly what you have, like a map of the big picture. This is the whole world. This is Etheria. There's a lot of blank spots on it. So it kind of feels like, when you start a video game and first open up the map and you're like, oh, this is the stuff right around me. But oh, look at those question marks up there. That looks interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like that really helps people get invested in the like open concept of the game, and like really how much autonomy they have to go where they want to go and do what they want to do.
So it is so true, because video games is always an incredible parallel, but it is so different when your DM is just like, here's the situation, what do you do? And you're like, my God, it's a whole open world. I have no clue. And so giving them those like boundaries of like, maybe even plant a couple seeds of like, you're starting here, but look at, maybe don't be so obvious, but like, look at this question mark here. There's another one here. Those aren't that far away. That might only be a day's journey for your, sorry, Jeff, you were saying something.
No, it's, that exact thing that you're talking about, like, hey, there's so many open spots on the map. That has literally led to, I think, three 4 major locations of my world now that are all player made, because we threw the map on the table and we're like, all right, where's everyone want to be from? You know, and then I've had 2 people in particular make very, very, very detailed places that I was like, I need all of that lore, please, so that way we can flesh it out and stuff like that. Right. And it's just been so good. And it's at this point now that we are potentially, hopefully, going to one of those cities within the next couple sessions, hopefully. The 2 of my players, so 2 of my players got into some brutal, and by brutal it was one-sidedly brutal, in a PvP fight. And he was like, all right, look, basically he was telling this one, the players are like, look, if your sister can actually smith a shield that you're telling me about, I'll forgive you for what you just did. And yeah, so like, all right, cool. So now there's a personal thing going on where now there's a character's sister is being brought into the story. And it's those types of things that you can establish in session 0. Like, we had no idea that a year later after playing this campaign that we'd be going to a completely different town that's nowhere near where they are and in a completely different biome. So it'll be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so fun because, again, at the end of the day, it's the collaborative storytelling. I mean, we've said it a nauseating amount of times on this podcast, and everybody else does too. But like, that is at its core what D&D is kind of meant to be. Another thing, and maybe we said it, so I apologize, but setting expectations for, I guess I'll just say, content warnings is such an important thing to do at session 0 also, because it's also important to be on the same page of like, you know, hey, what does, if somebody has something that they're like, hey, we're not going to cross that line, let's communicate it clearly. I always like to communicate the lines that I'm not going to cross or will not be crossed in my table. And again, it's drastically easier to do those things beforehand rather than everybody sitting there in shock being like, wait, what just happened? Or what was just said, you know?
Yeah.
I think session 0 should be arguably the session as a DM that you take the most seriously. Like, that feels like a lot of pressure right out the gate, but you won't regret being more prepared than you think you have to be.
Yeah.
Because everything will be simpler on you and on your life if you've set proper expectations. Scheduling, session length, all of those things are really important things to talk about. Of like, hey, you know, this is when I first started the Abyssal Tide, we were almost playing every week for a while. Like, it probably ended up being about every other week because we'd go on some stints, and now it's like once a month, you know?
Yeah.
But that's also something important to talk about of like, hey, if and when we hit a stretch of life that some of us aren't available, what does this look like? You know, do we a big thing at my table is if one player is missing, then we'll continue the story. But if 2 players are missing, we don't. That's also a big thing, especially as life gets busy. That's a good thing to establish too of, you know, is D&D happening Friday at 7 p.m. period, and whoever shows up, or is it a text every week? You know, those are important things because those are also the things that as a DM and as a player can really wear you down and be a thief of joy sometimes if scheduling is, you know, the BBG.
Yeah,
but
and like, be the death of the campaign if it's really
Right.
That has happened to me a few times at tables where scheduling just ultimately killed the group. Thankfully, I wasn't the DM at that one. I was just a player. But yeah, scheduling just eventually just shoots it down.
And I think something that I've run into too is it's so hard to know sometimes when you're planning a world or planning an adventure what that timeline in real life is going to look like. We are in the Abyssal Tide, we are 40 some sessions in and 2.5 years into it. I think when we started it, I was just like, I'm not sure the number of sessions, but I imagine it'll be a couple years, you know? Well, but that was also when we were playing really frequently. And now if we go down to, you know, what could end up being maybe only 10, maybe 12 sessions in this year, like that slows things down a lot. And, there's conversations to be had too at session 0 about pacing. We were talking about that when it pertains to kids, but like, that's also a thing. Starting out, I was like, we're going to really trudge through every moment of this story and whatever. And now I'm just like, we're going to travel montage. We're going to jump ahead a few hours. Like, we don't have to know. But that's also something important to establish, because that can be jarring sometimes to a character or a person if they have come from something that we're really jumping and then, now we're really down in the weeds, or the alternative. Like, that is, again, that's important information to be putting out there for everybody.
Yeah.
Or the inverse of being communicated to of your players' expectations.
And I haven't had this experience firsthand, but I haven't actually been a player in many campaigns. But I hear a lot of people who have been players in more than one campaign with different DMs. I hear them really complain about like the ways that the DM structures the sessions and the pacing and the things they focus on or not, really like ruining the experience for them, when really it's not necessarily that's the wrong way that their game master's running it. It's just, it's different than the way they did it before, right? The way they learned or the group they got attached to is run differently than this group. So I can definitely see that being a big benefit of just kind of like level setting expectations for kind of like, this is how we're going to do it in this campaign with this group, with this DM, to try to prevent some of that like disappointment.
For sure. And even if it's presented like, this is historically how I've done it, I'm open to feedback, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always, about probably like every 2 or 3 sessions, I think I'll ask my players like, hey, over the past couple sessions, is there something that you guys really liked? Is there something that you guys really didn't like about how the game went, what I did, what other people did? And so that's you can ask, you'll get all your feedback out between here's what I expect from you guys as players, as well as from me as a GM, like, here's what we get at that session 0. Not even to just like talk like, hey, like some people don't like RPing, right? So it's like, which if you have a table full of role players and one person who's not, it can come off as if that player isn't as invested, but in actuality they just aren't into doing voices and stuff like that. But and so that's a good thing to establish too. And then another thing too, like this is something that I just thought of that, I always tell people at the beginning, like, hey, like I put a lot of time into this to come up with a fun couple hours for you guys. If you're on your phone, please just use D&D Beyond or something. Don't have the game up, don't have whatever's going on, because that's just rude in general. But like, so you can establish like, hey, for these 3 hours, let's just kind of not be ourselves and let's just enjoy each other's company, hang out and stuff like that. Like,
which is an entirely valid thing to communicate, by the way. If you're saying like, hey, I am going to give you my all while we are at this table, like I'm locked in, I'm going to pour my heart and everything into this.
Yeah.
Give it back to me, whatever amount you're able to give, like pour it back, because this is, and I think, I would even go as far, and I haven't done this, but I think I would, even though I know my players, like give your players a questionnaire, like keep it brief, but like say, what's your play style, and maybe give them options of, do you prefer RP? What's your favorite thing? Is it RP? Is it combat? Is it exploration, puzzles, traps, And understanding that as a DM will also help you then in turn DM better for that person, because I think that's a big part of it too that sometimes gets lost. Is it's not always just about like, this is my DM style, so get used to it. Sometimes it's really that compromise of like, okay, this is how I like to DM, this is how this player likes to play, let's find that compromise, let's figure out what that looks like. That, because I think I've talked about it before, but like I don't want to say drastically differently, but like I DM differently in the same session for one player versus another player. And like that's true for most people, but it's also the knowing that and understanding that comes in with time, but if you can get out ahead of that and have them communicate, what brings them joy and what they're like, hey, I'm likely going to be checked out if we are in a montage of just RP for a full session. Like, that's not going to be my ideal. That's cool. Mm-hmm. It's good to know that, though, because maybe you can have something, maybe there's a mini game going on that person can do for a little bit to keep them locked in and feel like, hey, it was worthwhile being here for a few hours, It's just communication. I mean, really.
I mean, like you say that, like, oh, this isn't that hard of a thing. But I really do think that, like, the way that y'all are open to feedback and interested in that compromise and that kind of like two-way street there. I mean, that I feel like that's top tier DMing, right? Like, I don't think everybody does that. At least that seems to be what I hear from other people. It's like, some people do come into it and they're like, this is the way I like to do it. If you don't like it, you can go to a different table, which, okay, fair.
Yeah, is valid.
Like, that flexibility to work within what your players prefer and what works best for them, I feel like that's top-notch DMing right there.
And so, I mean, and it's not a simple thing. Like, that is not going to be true of me for every session. There are some sessions that I get to the end of them like, man, that was a stinker. You know what I mean? Like, we all have good days and bad days, even as DMing a session. I've gone into some sessions where it's like, this is going to be awesome. And then by the end of them, like, wow, I'm not particularly fond of how that went, Yeah. But again, the more communication you can have up front with your players about your expectations, about their expectations, it's going to save a lot of trouble on the back end. And maybe we're focusing too much on that, but for me, that is kind of what a session 0 is we're first and foremost going to lay the groundwork of what is going to be happening in reality around this table. And then once we've established that and we're all cool and on the same page about everything, then let's dive in to all the fun bonus extras like we were talking about, of like, it's the maps, it's the, pick 5 places that maybe your character has traveled to before, pick 3 NPCs, even if they don't exist now, that your character knows. It could be animals, it doesn't have to be people, but force your players to buy into your world in session 0, and you will have better buy-in in perpetuity.
Forever.
Yeah. Damn.
And I'll add in here a little bit. This is not mine. This belongs to my friends at the kids table. But any of you guys that are running games with kids or thinking about running games with kids, I feel like the kids table has a really nice way that they approach. I mean, I guess you could call it session 0, but like their sort of like expectation setting conversation they have about like how we treat each other at the table. And they say like, I think their core values are like kindness, mercy, and justice. I might have one of those wrong, but I've heard them give the spiel about it a couple times, and it always resonates with me and just makes me feel like, that's really simple. But it's basically like, okay, be kind, because the other people at the table are also people that have feelings and want to have like their time in the spotlight, and like take turns, be kind. Basically, like, don't be a dick at the table, but like in kid language. Right. So,
yeah, I would say, because that is kind of at the end of it, is like, that's half of my players at my table. That is how we hit it off initially, as we were having a conversation. I'm like, I just try to live by like, don't be a dick, and it is that like, there's plenty of nuance there, but it really is that simple. And I think session 0 is ideally the only time that you are having to manage your human players at your table, and ideally the rest of the time you are just getting to manage their characters. You know what I mean? And there's always, in extreme cases, there's always going to be a time and place where a player is just not the vibe for the table. Sometimes you just need better friends.
Yeah. Well,
what
on that note,
geez, don't fill in any awkward silence after that. We'll just all sit
I've already
here.
got an edit idea for that. I got an edit idea for that one. All right, cool.
Great. Session 0. So any final thoughts from anyone? I feel like I've monologued so much. So
no, this was a great
one.
Yeah, this is a great conversation tonight. There's so many good things that can come out of a session 0 to put a little bow on it. Like definitely do one. They are probably one of the most important sessions that you'll ever do. And have fun with it. That's the other thing too. Don't take yourself too seriously with these. Like, again, we're all doing this for the joy and the fun of tabletop RPGs and not being ourselves for a couple hours and just kind of forgetting what the craziness is that's outside our doors. But no, they're incredible, and you're all incredible, and we are the story crafters. We need to roll the D100. I almost went into the outro.
Really, we do.
Almost.
We almost did.
Almost. The D100. Can I do it tonight?
We need to roll the D100.
Please do that.
To get our next topic.
I still don't have a physical D100. I look at them all the time. Every time I go to a store, I'm like, oh, do y'all have any D100s? I need to look at them. But it's like too high stakes for me now. I'm trying to find the perfect one. I need to just buy one.
Listen, though, it matters, though, because like I own, I think, only one, and it's so unwieldy. Like the thing is, basically, I mean, it's a D100, so I know it's true, but like some have more defined sides. Mine is basically just a ball, and that thing will just roll forever if you let it. Yeah. So, and then it's hard to figure out what is on top. So, I mean, percentile die, right? Percentile die exists.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good fix. Okay, so I rolled 43. Do we want to see what that is? I can pull that up real quick.
Yeah. Sorry, I guess I could have been pulling that up.
It's all over the place.
All right. GM helpful tools for in-person games is 43.
Ooh. Okay. That one.
Helpful tools for in-person games.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Cool. All right.
Let's do her.
All right.
Careful though. Some of those tools might be mimics.
They might just be mimics.
Some of those tools might be mimics. That is a nice little teaser for the next episode. So thank you all so much. We are the Story Crafters. Again, my name is Jeff. We have Nicole and Jared with us tonight. Thank you again from the bottom of our hearts. We'll catch you on the next one. See you next time.
See ya.
Bye. Don't be a dick. Alrighty. That works.
Should that be our tagline?